All right. Okay. So we are here today to talk about how you can use the $13 million formula to make more money. I say make more money and have less stress and have more fun, but definitely make more money. So the $13 million formula was born in about 1993. And I have been working ever since then to perfect it. Let me just tell you a little bit about how effective it can be. The very first company that I used it with, when I started working with them, the board of directors, half of them hired me to come in. The company was originally about $1 million company, and their revenue had declined from $1 million to $56,000. And I walked in on the very first day to meet with the board of directors, and they got in a fight. I mean, they literally started arguing with each other. Half of them wanted to call it over, turn the lights off, and just go home. And the other half said, well, we've already hired her, so why don't we see what she can do? So I started, for those of you who don't know me, I started my career in politics. So I didn't really know all that much about business, and I had to figure it out all by myself. And in the process of figuring that out is when I came up with the elements of the $13 million formula that you're going to hear about tonight. And the reason I call it the $13 million formula is because when I started with that company, their revenue was $56,000. A couple of years later, when I stopped working with them, their revenue was 13 million. So I have since then been working with companies all around the world to grow their revenue. Some as much, you'll hear about those of you who know me have heard some of this, but if you don't know me, you're going to hear tonight about a woman who sold houses. For an entire year, she made no money at all. And she and I met. I did an analysis of her business, and I said to her, Nadia, I think you can grow your revenue from what it was the year before when she actually was making money. I said, I think you can grow your revenue about 334%. And she was happy with that. I mean, that's kind of a lot in a year. But she likes to tease me and tell me that I was wrong, because instead of 334%, she grew her revenue 3,546% in 12 months.
Wow.
And that's a pretty dramatic story, but there are a lot of other stories that are in the range of 100% growth, 400% growth, 600% growth. So I'm confident in this formula. You do have to learn it and you have to implement it, but that's what we're here about tonight, okay? So if you have a business, and when I talk about business, I've worked with huge behemoths like Discovery Networks. I've also worked with solo entrepreneurs, people who it's just them running their business. I find that this is effective for all sizes of business, but one of the biggest problems, if you're struggling, it's because you're trying to have the wrong conversations with your ideal buyers. And that's an important distinction there. There's an entire universe of buyers, but there's a smaller group of ideal buyers. They're the ones that you really want to work with. And you're having the wrong conversations with them. And I'm going to show you that tonight. First, though, I do want to remind everyone, this class is 3 days in a row, same time, same place, 3 days in a row. The reason that I do that is I'm going to teach you a chunk in the first half, and then you're going to ask me questions, and I'm going to coach you on your own business. So this is a combination of teaching and then coaching. So as you're going through this, okay, be thinking about, okay, what am I doing in my business? Deborah says, if I'm struggling, I'm talking to the wrong ideal buyer, or I'm having the wrong conversations with my ideal buyers. Okay, what conversations should I be having? All right, and we can bring it down and talk about your business specifically. All right. You also can't attract your ideal buyers if you've got the wrong energy or frequency, either in your business or in yourself. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say you're talking to a potential buyer and you're saying, oh, my service is so great, my product is so great, you really should buy it because it's the best, blah, 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 blah. And inside, you're like, God, they really have to buy. I'm struggling so much. I can't pay the rent, or I can't feed my kids. Your frequency and your energy are out of alignment with what you're saying. They won't trust you. They won't, is she lying or is she not or whatever, but they won't trust you if you're out of alignment in that way. So you've got to, one, get things going, and at the same time, get your internal frequency going. So that way the energy that you're putting out in the world matches what you're saying. So look, the real problem in business right now, actually all the time, if you're running your own business, the pressure that you're under is tremendous, especially if you're running a small business, because you're doing everything. You're, doing by the way, I don't call it marketing. I don't believe in marketing. I believe in strategic messaging. So you'll hear me say that. So you're trying to strategically message your ideal buyers, and you're trying to do social media posts and pay the taxes and set up all of your different kinds of technology. It's immense. It's very, very stressful, and it's very lonely because a lot of us are doing it all by ourselves. There's no one to talk to. We may have a spouse, but the spouse isn't interested in hearing about it, or they may not have helpful suggestions. So we're kind of all alone. And that's one of the reasons why we're here tonight, because you don't have to be alone. We can support each other, and I can be here for you. You can tell me anything. Beverly and Stella both know me. They hopefully know. You can tell me anything, and I will not judge you. Okay? And we'll do whatever we can to solve it. So one of the things that's happening in the world in the last couple of years, especially since the shutdown, is that the buyers have changed. Your buyers has changed. Everyone's buyers have changed. They're spending a lot more time researching before they buy. So they're hoping to make a better choice. And a lot of companies are really worried about an impending recession, meaning we've really got to be on our toes, on our game. And here's something that we're going to dive into very deeply tonight. 90 to 97% of your prospects are buying from someone else. So what does that mean? Okay, that's a number, Deborah. It's gone straight out of my head, even though it's still on the screen. 90 to 97% of your buyers. And look, your buyers may be companies who want to bring you in for speaking gigs, or your buyers may be, people who want to buy a widget or a service or whatever. So when I say the word buyer, it's whoever it is that you want to engage with. But if 90 to 97% of your prospects are buying from someone else, what does that mean to your revenue? You're making your money out of 3 to 10% of your potential market. So if your market, let's say, is 100%, you're only making money out of this much of it, 3 to 10%. If you can just increase that, and maybe you don't get the whole market, that's fine. If you can just increase that by 10, 20, 30%, what does it do to your revenue? If you increase it by 30%, it 3x's your revenue. So let's say, by the way, we're only going to do easy math tonight. Deborah doesn't do complicated math. If you just increase that by 30%, that 3x's your revenue. Okay. So, but right now, 90 to 97% of your revenue is down the drain before you start. And before you start feeling alone, do you know that only 6% of CEOs believe they have what it takes to solve these problems? So what we're going to do today and over the next couple of days is day one, today, we're going to talk about the solution so that you stop losing 90% of your revenue and own your market. I always tell my students and clients, don't play in your market, don't participate in your market, own your market. And I'm going to show you tonight how to do that. On day 2, we're going to make the solution work for you in your business. We're going to get you out of the marketing death trap. You'll learn what that is, and into the iron triangle. Trust me, that's where you want to be. And on day 3, we're going to talk about how to make it easy and ask ourselves, what if it was easy? That shifts the energy of, oh, that's hard, right? Okay, so tonight's for you. You're welcome to stay. If it's not for you, you're welcome to go. But tonight's for you if you want to be like the CEOs all over the world. I have clients in 17 countries around the world, students in 17 countries. If you want to be one of those who, gets into the iron triangle and gets control of your company and stops the stress and saves time so that you can take care of your body, take care of your relationships, have money in the bank, have fun. Have fun. That's what life is about. I'm going to quickly introduce you to a couple of people who've used the $13 million formula. John, he 10x'd his leads, his sales, his revenue in 6 months. And now he spends, actually, when I see him a lot of time on social media, he's on the beach. Enrique, he grew his revenue 110% in 10 months in 13 countries and 5 languages. And Kami's a dentist. He says that his life is his life now. Rather than working, he's got several dental practices. He's opened up several more, and he's got a life. He's not always worried about running his business. I will tell you that the results are not necessarily typical. The one thing that every one of those people has in common is that they applied what they learned. There are people who won't do that. There are people that, they'll learn this and they'll think, okay, I know it. They'll hear me talk tonight and they're like, okay, I know it, but they won't do anything about it. Those people are not having those results. And so I want to be really clear. I don't want anyone to be confused about, why you're not getting the results. You have to actually implement the formula. So, if you want to get control of your company and stop the pressure and, have real freedom in your life, more money, less stress, more fun, which is what I like to say, then you're in the right place. But if you're one of those people who believes in, well, we've always done it this way, and you like saying things like, I've already tried that. I already know this. That company that I told you about earlier, I heard a lot of that from their board of directors. Well, we already tried that. We already did that, and it doesn't work. And my answer to that, it was, as arrogant as this sounds, maybe it is, you haven't done it Deborah's way, right? So just because you've always done it, after you learn new things, you do them at a higher level. So you're not the same person that you were when you did it before. Okay. I also don't believe in struggle. I know a lot of you have probably experienced struggle, but we don't have to stay stuck there. Okay. And the other thing is, we all have to take 100% responsibility for what we're creating in our lives. If we're having success, we're creating that. If we're not having the success we want, there's something to be done about it, but we are also creating that. And if you're not willing to listen, I had a meeting yesterday with someone who wanted me to help turn around their company, and I did a full-on training for their entire team, and they did not want to listen at all. And finally, about halfway through the training, I said, I can't help you, and called it over and told them that I wouldn't work with them. So it's really important. I'm not saying that you have to listen to me, but if you are going to engage with someone to help you, you do have to listen to them. Okay. So are we all on the same page? We want to own our market, 4x our revenue, have a company that is fun and not a job. Is that you? Is it you? I hope so.
It absolutely is me.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So over these 3 days, we're going to stop losing 90% of our revenue and own our market. We're going to get out of the marketing death trap and into the iron triangle so that we're winning. And the whole goal is to have a great life. You know, hopefully we love our businesses. We love what we're doing, but we want to take the stress away. We're doing what we're doing for the great life. Stella's doing it for cocktails on the beach. You know, Beverly's doing it for all of the animals on the planet. We all have our own thing, but we want to be able to have that great life. So here's a couple of things that quickly I want you to know about me. Over the past 30 years, I have been using this formula, perfecting it. And as I said, there are companies in 17 countries around the world who are using it. You met Nadia. She increased her revenue, grew her revenue more than 3,000% in 12 months. She now takes, and I prescribe to my CEOs, I prescribe long holidays. I like it if everyone takes at least a month-long vacation every year, preferably unplugged with their phones off. She's doing that. One of the savviest people that was my ideal buyer that I turned, he was a hard no way. He said, no way, I'm not interested in working with Deborah's clients. It's not happening. I didn't know this at the time. I only knew it after it was all over. He was the receiver of this formula, meaning we used it on him. And he went from a very hard no way to signing a deal with my clients worth more than $300 million in annual revenue. So not just one time, but every year. It's worked for companies of all sizes, all types. I've never experienced a type of company that it does not work with. There are some companies I will not work with because of my personal beliefs, but I haven't seen one where it doesn't work. Something else that I want you to understand about me is that I don't believe in one-shot wonders. There are too many people out there who are trying to put their hand in your wallet and sell you little, I don't know, kitschy things like buy my app and do this and you'll have all the leads you want. Well, that may or may not be true, but are they leads that you want? When I was starting out online several years ago, I didn't understand. There is a huge difference between having people like your content who have been driven there by technology rather than having people who are interested in actually engaging with you. So I don't do one-shot wonders. I don't believe in them, and I'm going to urge you not to do them. I also want you all to think about the quality of your business at all levels. We're going to talk about some things tonight about getting those leads and making those sales, but leadership is also important. And that's even in cases where you don't have employees. And probably it's more important in cases where you don't have employees, because when you're sitting there all alone in your pajamas all day, you have to have great leadership skills to lead yourself to get the job done. All right. And then finally on day 3, we're going to talk about what my consultants that know me call Deborah's secret sauce in a mocking way, because they know that I am an avid student of metaphysics and quantum physics. I call it quantum metaphysics. I made that up. But combining all of that with the strategies we're going to talk about, combining that with the practical tools to change your life in a way where your trajectory is going like this rather than just a gradual slope, slowly going up. Okay, some of you know me well enough to know a little bit about what I'm talking about. Okay, so right now, you're probably doing things the hard way. You know, you're making all the decisions yourself and you're doing all the things yourself. And I'm not talking about you personally, but worldwide, self-medicating among business owners is very high. Food, drugs, alcohol, Netflix, because you're swirling a little bit and what do I do? What do I do? I don't know what to do. There's no one here to help me. Okay, you know what? I'm going to slip into what I would call a trauma response. Flight, fight, or freeze. And a lot of business owners get into the freeze mode. I don't know what to do. So, you know, if I just watch another episode of whatever your favorite show is, then I'll get to work. But then you stay frozen. What if I just watch one more episode, right? And you may have found that you're kind of in the position of you're wasting massive money on all these little marketing gimmicks that, you know, one more shiny object. You go on Facebook or Instagram, it seems like that's all there is there these days are shiny objects that people want you to buy with big promises that are going to suck your time dry trying to figure out how to use them, or they just don't work. And that leads to overwhelm and working way more hours than you have to. The other thing that we're going to cover is our internal state. How many of you, I certainly have wondered, you know, am I good enough? You know, my parents maybe are right, or my teachers maybe are right. Maybe I'm not smart enough. I had one client who his dad didn't work for the company. And this was a grown man. He was, I don't know, in his early 50s. His dad would come into his business 3 times a week or more. And would walk around saying things like, when are you going to smarten up and sell this place and get a real job? You're not smart enough to run a business. He'd been saying that to him his entire life. And now he was infecting his business in that way. And it was causing massive troubles. He didn't even realize it. I said to him once, I said, Tim, the reason you're not making money, I think, is because of your relationship with your dad. And he said, what? Are you crazy? I have a great relationship with my dad. And I said, oh, really? Do you remember when you told me the story about when he would come into the shop? When we got to the root of that and we pulled those weeds out, he actually started making money. He made more money in a month than he had ever made in a previous quarter. Okay. But these things have combined, and a lot of us are scared. And do you ever ask yourself, I know I have, as someone who runs her own business, is this all there is to life? I want to travel, and I do. I mean, I follow my own advice, and usually once a year, my daughter and I take off for a month. It's harder now that she's graduated from college and out in the world, but I want that life for you. I don't want you saying, well, is this really all there is to life? Just working, working, working. And you're probably also thinking, okay, is there someone who can help me with this? That's what today is for. I want you to have a life and a business, not just a job. All right. So that way you don't wake up one day and go, gosh, did I fulfill my potential? Did I set the example for my children that I want to set? So if you already have a business, I don't know all of you, but if you already have a business, I want you to understand there's a huge difference. And most people don't understand this. There's a huge difference between making a product or selling a service and growing a business. A lot of people have gotten into business because they like to make pie, or they, are really into cars, or whatever it is. And that's great. I always tell, when I go into a company to work with them, I always say, I will never know your product or service as well as you do. And I don't need to. You need to know that. What I need to know and what I need to teach you is how to grow your business, to put the strategic messaging in place, to put the strategic sales process in place. Okay? Because we don't have to continually struggle. All right. So let's get into the meat of it. How do we stop losing 90% of our revenue and own our market? The marketing death trap, we're going to talk more about this in depth tomorrow, but the marketing death trap is where most people are. They're selling on 3 things that your buyers don't care about. Instead of being in the iron triangle, offering the 3 things that buyers really, truly do care about. So regardless of what business you're in, here's how and why you're losing 90 to 97% of your revenue before you even start. The top 3% of the market are people who are buying now. Those are people who are actively looking for what you're selling. They may be searching on the internet, or if they see your ad on Facebook or something, they may go, okay, I'm looking for that. That's 3% of the market. Where do you think all of your competitors are? They're in that 3%. So you're only making money out of 3% of the market, and you're having to deal with all your competitors there too. Okay, the next 7%, they're open to what you're offering. They're not looking for it at the moment, but I might need a new washer in the next 6 months. So yeah, I'm open to hearing what you have to say. That's the 10%. You're making your money out of 3 to 10%. The remaining 90% are either not thinking about it. They're not considering at all buying a Lamborghini. They think they're not interested. They don't know why they would be, because they don't know that you have a solution to a problem that they may not even know that they have, or you may be an unusual solution. For example, the woman that we started talking about who sold houses. She sold houses. She was in the marketing death trap. And she sold houses talking about things like granite and lighting and things about houses. Her ideal buyers, we did an analysis of them. Her ideal buyers were not interested in a house. They had a house, and she was in Dubai, and a couple of years before she and I met, there was this massive real estate scandal in Dubai. Realtors and home developers were selling one house to 5 or 6 different people. They would sell it to you, and to you, and to you, and to me, collect the money, and then a huge problem happened in Dubai because they would drive their Mercedes, their Lamborghini, their Bentley, or whatever it was to the airport and abandon it there. That was a huge problem in Dubai. All of these realtors abandoning their cars as they scooted out of town before they went to jail. Okay, so she had to come up with a very unique way to talk to her ideal buyers. Remember, I said we're not marketing, we're strategic messaging. So we did an analysis, and we're going to learn about this tomorrow, how you do this yourself. We did an analysis of who her ideal buyers were. And what we discovered is that they were in a population of people that had a higher propensity for diabetes, heart disease, stroke, premature death. Their children were at a higher risk for teen drug use and other aberrant behaviors. So what we did, we took their problem. That was a big problem for them. We took that problem and we started strategically messaging them about those issues: diabetes, heart disease, premature death, teen drug use. And we sold them houses. They were at the bottom of this buying pyramid that I'm showing you. They were down here at the bottom. They were definitely not interested. We taught them about how our houses, not just any old house, not my house that I'm sitting in, the houses that we were selling, actually, there were studies from places like Harvard Medical School that because of some of the attributes of our houses, they were more effective at preventing heart disease, as an example, than the best drugs on the market. So here's a real story. One day, one of my salespeople that was trained in how to do this, she knew all of the data. She was talking to someone, and just kind of casually, not I got to get my hand in your pocket, but just kind of casually, do you have extended family? Do they like to come and visit for the holidays or whatever? And he said to her, well, my dad died. He died when he was 54. So no, I don't get to see him and I really miss him. And he said, I'm turning 54 next month. And I'm really worried about, what's going to happen to my family. Who's going to take care of them if I die? So she told him the information about the Harvard study, about the attributes that were better than the best drugs on the market. He ended up buying a house. So really think about that, because that sounds so crazy. And a lot of people, they hear me say that and they say, okay, well, she's still talking, whatever. But I mean, really think about that. This company sold 0 houses for more than a year. $0, no revenue for an entire year, more than a year. We started talking about diabetes and heart disease and teen drug use to sell those houses. And they sold $602 million worth of houses. No one in Dubai was selling houses. Once we put this strategy together, we not only started selling houses, we raised our prices. Actually, sorry, I take that back. We raised our prices first. They thought I was crazy. They thought I was crazy a lot of the times. All right. So let's look at what this means in terms of dollars. We're going to do really simple math. All right. Follow along with me, and I'm going to try not to screw it up because I'm not great at math. Okay. So let's say you have 100 leads per month that come out of the top 10% of the buying pyramid. Remember that top 10%? Okay, so 100 leads per month. You close 30 of them into buyers. And let's say that each buyer represents $1,000. So that's 30 sales times $1,000 equals $30,000. Okay. If you just get down into that first 30%, so you remember it was 3% looking for you, they're buying right now, 7% could be open to it. Then the top 30%, they weren't really interested, right? If we just get there, we don't even go down to the hard nose at all. If you go there and you increase your leads from 100 to 400, right? Because that's 30%. So you get, you know, from each one of those, 100 from each one of those, keeping your same lead rate. With this strategy, you actually will increase that, but we're just going to say you're keeping it the same. So you go from 100 leads to 400 per month. If you keep your same close rate that you had before, it also will go up. Well, for ease, we're just going to say it's going to stay the same. You increase your clients or buyers from 30 to 120. 30 buyers equals $30,000. 120 buyers equals $120,000. How would an extra $90,000 a month next month feel to you? Now, I'm not promising you $90,000, right? You have to use your own real numbers. By the way, I believe in the workbook that you got in the email, if you downloaded it, I believe there's an opportunity to do your own math in there, if I remember correctly. But here's the thing, by making one change and implementing it really well, remember, we actually have to do it, not just hear Deborah ramble on about it. If you do it really well, previously your yearly income was $360,000, and now it's 1.4 million. I've seen this happen over and over and over again. That's what happened with Nadia. Okay. So just as an example, this, what you're seeing right now is an ad that we actually used. We created something that we call an accelerator. An accelerator is a slide deck of information. Some of you may have heard it called a course story. I call my version an accelerator. It is a slide deck that tells us everything that we need to know about the ideal buyer, what they care about, what solutions will help them, and then we present that to them. So remember, it's crazy. We're selling houses, and this guy that you see on the screen, he was part of one of our ads. We're selling houses, and we're talking about kids who are growing up and on the verge or on the path of getting into trouble. What to do about it, as we are offering houses for sale. Okay, so this is what we want to do. The first thing is we want to go after the low-hanging fruit. We want to still go after those 10%. I'm not saying abandon them. Those are the low-hanging fruit. So let's use the strategy. When I say let's, I mean you. Let's use that strategy, get some cash in the door. And then you meet your buyers where they are, not where you are. Now, so I call it look at me marketing. Oh, look at me. I have nice houses. Your buyers don't want houses. So what do they want? They don't want to die. So let's talk to them about that. Now, you have to make a connection. Like, I wouldn't say to one of my neighbors here, oh yeah, if you want to sell your house, go out and start talking to people about heart disease. No. You have to know who the ideal buyers are in the area where you are, or in the market that you're in. Okay. You have to make that connection for people so that they understand it. And then you stop competing for the 3%. You'll still get them. You'll get more of them, but stop competing for them. Stop focusing on them and go after the market that's untouched. And be the person that your buyers run to when they need help. Look, if I call you, I have a problem. I call you, and like the guy who was concerned about dying, he came back and actually asked the salesperson for more advice. She sells houses. He's asking her for medical advice, health advice, right? When he was ready to buy a house, is he going to go to the guy down the street? Or is he going to go back to her, the person who was genuinely helping him? That's who you want to be. Okay, so day 2, we're going to get out of the marketing death trap and into the iron triangle. That's tomorrow, same time, same link, same place. And then on day 3, we're going to focus on having a massively successful business and a great life, because that's what you deserve. There are 13 vampires that are devouring your business, your bank account, and life. Today only, I'm offering you my guide to understanding what they are and what to do about them for 50% off. So go to deborahbringelson.com/slay-vampires and get it now. I wish you the greatest success in everything you do.